Mayang gabi sa matagusa. Salamat sa Ginoo for this Wednesday nga makatuon ug makaampuanay na kita sa matagusa. And before that, mag-pray na kita. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you, Lord, for always protecting us, always providing our needs. Labi na ginasyung mga kanakan sa wide fields. Nagampo ako nga ikaw mag-bless ang magikan sa mga pulong karon. Ikaw lang ginang himayan sa mga ginapoy. Ang mga tuyan tanan in Jesus name we pray. Amen. Kumusta ang matagusa? Puling okay lang ta. Puling okay lang atong mga kalawasan. And sa tuwa nga pagtuon, ginangyo na ko ang matagusa sa pag-abli sa inyong mga Biblia sa 1 Thessalonians chapter 2. Verse 1 to 4. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 1 to 4. Kung nana akong basahon. For yourselves, brethren, know our entrance in unto you, that it was not in vain. But even after that we had suffered before, and were shamefully entreated, as you know, as Philippi, we were bold in our God to speak unto you the gospel of God with much contention. For our exhortation was not of deceit, nor of uncleanness, nor in guile. But as we were allowed to God to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God which trieth our hearts. The Lord will bless His word. These are very common verses. In fact, Paul wrote this book. Katana nga si Paul gisulat niya ning nga libro during in the second missionary journey. And this time he was with Silas after he have contention with Barnabas. And kung atong tan-awon gyud, Paul have no intention, wa gyud siya intention ngun maadto sa lugar sa Macedonia. Kung atong tan-awon sa Acts chapter 16, wala gyud. Ang iyang original nga plano is mato siya sa Bithynia. Focus on Asia Minor. But kung atong tanawon ang story sa Book of Acts, nga ang vision nag-appeared kang Paul. Mo to atong gitawag nga Macedonian call. The vision. And after he received the vision, he immediately endeavored to go into Macedonia, to Thessalonica. And after he start a church there for 3 Sabbath, for 1 month, nag-start sa church dito sa Macedonia. Kung atong tan-awon ang Thessalonica is one of the main port of Macedonia. Usa na siya ka port which is para sa Ephesus or sa Corinth. Kana siyang lugar is a very kana gani siyang tawagani kaning daghay mga investors, daghay naga-adto because grabe ka famous nga lugar. And ang pangutana is mo ni, why Paul did those things even in the midst of persecution? Kung atong tan-awon ang iya nga background diri sa second missionary journey Paul, nagasuffer gyud siya og persecution mga igsoon. Pero padayon lang gyud gapon siya nga nagasangyaw, nagawali sa aming balita ngano man unsa iya nga rason. Atong gibasa da sa verse 4. Not as pleasing men, but God. Nagtrabaho siya, nagagoon siya sa iyang missionary journey because dili tao ang iyang ginawalihan, kundi dili tao ang iyang ginahimaya or kay ang Ginoo mo ang iyang ginahimaya gyud sa unang-una. Mo na magigsoon nga usa ka butang atong makita diri, ang approval sa Ginoo. Ang iyang gina-after is the approval of God. Ano yung klaro kayo sa verse 4 that so we speak not as pleasing men but God. Paul did those things even in the midst of persecution. And the challenge for tonight is this: brethren in Christ, we must all do the work with the approval of God. With the approval of God. Atong himuon ang tanan mo na klaro kay ng verse nga ato yung nabalaan gyud that whether you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, we do it for the glory of God. And even manang ingon sa usa kanta ba that even at my best I am unworthy. Wala gyud worthy sa ato. And I have nothing precious I can give. A broken life is all I have to offer. Wala man gyud tay offer sa Ginoo. Wala man gyud tay ikapanghinambog di sa Ginoo. But as we do the work, as we do the ministry of God, we must not please men but God. The approval of God. Now, during verse ato matunan ang tulo ka butang, it will give us transparent realities, truth about the approval of God. Unsa man gyud ang approval sa Ginoo? Verse 1 atong gibasa. For yourselves, brethren, know our entrance in unto you that it was not in vain, but even after we had suffered before, and were shamefully entreated, as you know, at Philippi. We were bold in our God to speak unto you the gospel of God with much contention. Ang usa ka nga realidad diri sa igsoon about sa approval sa Ginoo, that the approval of God is not the approval of many. Brethren, he was referring to the Thessalonican believers. For yourselves, brethren, know your entrance in unto you. Kabalo mo. Kung atong tanong ng verse 3, chapter 1, verse 3, remembering without ceasing your work of faith, and labor of love, and patience of hope. Ni mo na, ang ginamin ni Paul bang, kabalugin mo ba? Kung unsa ang paglihok, ang pagtrabaho namo diya sa inyo. That it was not in vain. Dili ni kawang. Parang yun siya. But even after we had suffered, the apostle having observed in previous chapter that those persons to whom the report of the gospel being preached at Thessalonica, and the success of it there was made, showed everywhere but what manner of entrance and his fellow ministers had in that place, and the conversion of many souls. Dagay ni dawat sa pulong sa Ginoo, dagay na luwas tungod sa ilaha. Pero yun siya da, ang duha ka phrase bang atong nga iyang giingon da, but even after we had suffered before, nag-antos mi ingon si Apostol Pablo. Ug usa na ka manifestation may so that the approval of God is not the approval of many. Maghimo ka sa buluhaton sa Ginoo, i-persecute gid ka sa mga tao. Muhimo ka sa maayo nga mga butang para mahimaya ang Ginoo. Sawayon gid ka sa tao. Manang usa ka pastor na ingon, nga bisan unsa ka maayo nga tao igsoon, naagi ka sulti ang tao sa imo. Ganan kay ko atong usa ka picture nga naay usa ka mag-asawa, mag-asawa couple sila, tapos na usa ka donkey. Ang gipasakay sa asawa, ang gipasakay sa donkey ang asawa. Ang tao niingon, grabe, ka-selfish bud sa asawa, yang bana nagkapuy na. May istorya. Sa isa na pud ka picture, ang bana ang buhin sakay sa donkey, ang asawa mo naglakaw. Ang uban na pud istorya sa tao. Grabe. Wa po'y kaloy ang bana nga ipabaktas ang asawa. Ang isa na pud ka picture, ang ka-third nga picture, nagbakta silang duha, nagsakay silang duha sa donkey. Unsa ingon sa tao? Grabe, wala po'y kaluoy ng mga tawhana. Luya sa donkey, duha gyud sila ni sakay. Ug ang last nga picture mo ni, nagbakta silang duha ang donkey, wala nang sakay. Unsa ingon sa tao? Grabe pong matawhana, bugo apudoy. Nay donkey wala ni sakay. Muna ison. Sa tanan natong himuon, kung labi naghimayaon nato ang Ginoo, ang approval sa Ginoo ra gyud atong gina-after. Kay maning na Apostol Pablo ba? We not please men. We have suffered before. It was one of the manifestation that the approval of God is not the approval of many. Back in their work on Philippi, yun siya, they were being beaten with many stripes and put into prison. That's why one commentator said, Paul and his companions was not on vacation trip. Wala nagabakasyon nga naman. Kaya kung nagabakasyon, lipay man yun. Enjoy man yun. But, yun pa si Apostol Pablo. But even after we had suffered before, and were shamefully gipakaulawan. Yan gizon. Muna sa atong pagbuhat sa buluton sa Ginoo, lagi mo saway sa to. Kung mo invite ka sa pagsimba sa ubang tao, sawayan gigan nila. Why? Because the approval of God is not the approval of many. And to stand in the midst of this approval of many, manaya, to stand in the midst of this approval of many is the proof of genuineness of your work in Christ. While nagatindog ka, nga disapprove ka sa uban, meaning, your genuineness, it is the proof of your genuineness of your work in Christ. So, we need to think, we need to remind ourselves that the approval of God is not the approval of men. And second, it's this. Verse 2 and 3. We are bold in our God to speak unto you the gospel of God with much contention, for our exhortation was not of deceit, nor of uncleanness, nor in guile. Second, not only the approval of God is not the approval of many. Second is this. The approval of God matters by the intents of the heart. The approval of God will matter by the intention of the heart. The intents of our hearts. Yung sa diya, we were bold in our God to speak, meaning we have freedom to speak. We were bold. And even on the sufferings of Paul, he was still made it more manifestly appear that the errand they came upon was a matter of importance, and that they did not proceed on a slight foundation. Bisan pag luyo aning mga pagsulay sa kinabuhi, we were bold to in our God to speak unto you. They do it by the sincerity of heart. By the sincerity of heart. But even after we had suffered, yung sa diya, grabe pa yun. We were bold in our God to speak unto you the gospel of God with much contention. Yung sa contention gani, ang bot pasabot diri, meaning they have so many opposers that time, but their sincere heart to the work will always follow to them. There were so many opposers, dagay nag-aagyan sila, ang mali yun ninyo. How much more karon, di ba? Medyo, dagay mga taong mga gaupo sa buluhaton sa Ginoo. But yun niya, we were bold in God to speak. Sincerity mi, sincero mi, nga muwali. That's why Steve Lawson says that pastors should have the compassionate preaching as what Paul and others apostles did. Usap po ni kahagit na sa amuang nga nagawali sa pulong sa Ginoo. Kay as a minister of Christ, as a minister of God, dili kaligayan nga naig yung mga tao nga mo-oppose mo. But di ba yung Steve Lawson, pastors should have the compassionate to preach. Not only pastors but the believers in Christ. Kita, like so on. They do it by the sincerity of heart. Second, they do it by the purity of heart. For our exhortation was not of deceit, dili sa pagpangilad, not in impure motives, yun siya. Not in guile, nor in guile, dili wala naga-artifice og mga kaning mga colors, dili dishonest, meaning tinuod gini. Tinuod yun ni ang among ginasulti mo nang si Pastor Adrian Rogers na gaingon. It is better to be divided by truth than to be united in error. I know. It is better to be divided by truth than to be united in error. It is better to speak the truth that hurts and the heals than falsehood that comforts and kills. Sabi na, it is better to be hated for telling the truth than to be loved for telling a lie. It's better to stand alone with the truth than to be wrong with a multitude. Ano yun? That the approval of God matters by the intents of the heart. By the intents of your heart. That is the approval of God. For our exhortation was not of deceit, nor of uncleanness, nor in guile. Anan kayo no? It is better to be hated for telling the truth than to be loved for telling a lie. Grabe. Than to be loved than telling a lie. Lastly, not the approval of God is not the approval of many. The approval of God matters by the intents of the heart. Last, the approval of God is rooted to those who have a deep conviction on Him. Ang balikon, the approval of God is rooted to those who have a deep conviction of Him. Verse 4. But as we were allowed to God to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God which trieth our hearts. Meaning, deep conviction, meaning a strong persuasion or belief. Yun sa diya. But we were allowed by God or approved by God. Not there were worthy of being minister of the word, but such was the goodwill and pleasure of God. And what kind of conviction? Yun sa diya. A conviction that we have to speak the word no matter what the cost. A conviction that we have to speak the word. Ingon sa diya. We were allowed of God to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak. Even so we speak. The gospel was delivered to the people honestly, not taking from it or adding to it. Wala. A conviction that we have to speak the word no matter what the cost. And a conviction that God really sees our hearts. That God really sees your heart. Even so speak not as pleasing men. Or not to gain favor, or not to gain an applause, or not to gain an honor. But God which trieth our hearts. But God which trieth our hearts. God is the searcher of our heart, and He knows our intentions and the designs of men. Kabalo siya tanan mga igsoon. That's why dili nato matiaw-tiawan ng Ginoo. Dili nato matiaw-tiawan ng Ginoo. One story of the Bible nga ang iya nga kinabuhi is unang-una naging maayos sa Ginoo, but latter part siyang kinabuhi nag-arise ang iyang pride. Wala gid siya naging successful siyang kinabuhi. May son kabalo ang intention kabalo ang Ginoo sa atong intention. Pwede siya mingon nga ay nasimbar kay ka para nangalagad ra ka sa Ginoo para na kay maduulan, para ma-comfort ka. Nangalagad ra ka sa Ginoo tungod kay gusto ka makwarta. Nangalagad na kasi Ginoo tungod kay wa kay lingaw sa ginabi, wala na kay laing option. No, ayan si Apostle Paul. God which trieth our hearts. God is all-knowing. Nothing can be hidden from Him. Nothing can be hidden from Him. So mga ison, the approval of God is not easy to obtain. Grabe ang standard sa Ginoo. Pero yun yun ang Biblia nga we have to do it. whatever you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, buhata lang nga mahimaya ang Ginoo, nga approve ang Ginoo. Ganan kay ko anang kanta nga, little is much when God is in it. Unsa man nakagamay imong ginahimo, basta na ang Ginoo, little is much. Dako na kay natubangan siya. So the approval of God is not the approval of many. The approval of God matters by the intent of the heart. And third, the approval of God is rooted to those who have a deep conviction on Him. So hopefully, Christians, we are doing all the things in life just to please God and to be approved by Him. May mga butang, no? May mga panahon nga masipiyat kita, makasala kita. But the point is, unsa may mga butang atong himon sa atong kinabuhi. We strive to please God and to approve by Him. And padayon lang gid gapon ta may zone, maybe this COVID-19 is one of the opposers of our worship sa Ginoo. Siguro dili niya ning mapugnan. Di niya mapugnan nga mosimba lang gyapon ta. Ang usa lang nga napunggan ang fellowship ba. Personal magkita na ito. But this is one of the testings maghihatag sa Ginoo. But we are still thankful sa Ginoo nga gina-remind lang gid gyapon ta niya siyang pulong. And hopefully nga nakatuon kita, na-remind kita sa pulong sa Ginoo nga we are here not to please men but God. And salamat karon gabi. Hopefully nga ampuan lang yun nato nga maukay na ang tanan. God bless everyone and see you next Wednesday.